Rome's early history was defined by dangerous volatility. When absolute power fell to unpredictable hereditary tyrants like Caligula, the state's stability could shatter instantly. The central flaw was the succession itself. Handing total control to a biological heir is a massive gamble, and in Rome, it was a gamble that frequently ended in disaster. These gold coins date to the 2nd century AD, a time when that volatility vanished. The historian Edward Gibbon argued that this specific era was the most prosperous and comfortable period in human history. This period of stability grew from a radical choice. Rome moved away from biological succession, awarding absolute power to leaders based on their proven capability. For nearly a century, the empire operated as a meritocracy at the highest level of power. It was a period that proved well-designed systems can be stronger than any single bloodline. The mechanics of the system were simple but effective. A ruling emperor would identify the most capable, battle-tested adult in the empire and formally adopt them as his legal successor. This intentional selection created a sequence of 5 distinct, brilliant leaders who became known as the 5 good emperors. By choosing a successor rather than inheriting one, the empire could adapt its leadership to match whatever specific crisis it faced at the time. Take Trajan, who rose to power in AD 98. He was the ultimate military commander, selected specifically because Rome needed a leader who could push the borders of the empire to their absolute peak. He managed a state covering 5 million square kilometers, held together by an engineering marvel, over 400,000 kilometers of paved roads. Trajan's column still stands in Rome as physical evidence of this success, documenting the campaigns of a leader chosen for unmatched military competence. Trajan proved the system worked. It identified and elevated the perfect leader for an era that demanded aggressive logistical growth. But the system's true strength was its ability to pivot. Trajan's successor, Hadrian, was chosen not for conquest, but for the wisdom to know when the empire had reached its limit. Hadrian recognized the empire was overextended. He pulled back from the edges, building permanent, solid defensive borders like this stone barrier stretching across Britain. By ending the cycle of endless war, Hadrian could focus on cultural achievements. He oversaw the construction of the Pantheon, an engineering miracle with a concrete dome that remains a marvel 19 centuries later. A biological son might have blindly tried to outconquer his father to secure his legacy. A meritocratic choice knew it was time to pivot to defense. The era reached its zenith with Marcus Aurelius. He was the ultimate expression of the philosopher king, a man who held authoritative command of the army while remaining a dedicated student of Stoic thought. He was tested by immense pressure, from grueling wars on the northern frontiers to a devastating plague that killed thousands of Romans every single day. We can still read his private journal, the Meditations. It reveals a mind fiercely dedicated to integrity, showing a leader struggling to remain a good human being while holding absolute power over the known world. Aurelius represented the peak of the system, a leader who viewed his power not as a birthright, but as a moral responsibility. But despite his wisdom, Marcus Aurelius is the man who single-handedly ended the system. He allowed personal attachment to override the meritocracy. Instead of adopting a proven successor, he handed the empire to his biological son, Commodus. It was a catastrophic error. Commodus was erratic and vain, eventually renaming Rome after himself before his reign ended with his assassination in 192 AD. This one act of nepotism instantly eroded a century of systemic brilliance. The death of Commodus triggered 50 years of total chaos. The Golden Age vanished, replaced by a permanent state of civil war that left the Roman Forum in ruins. Rome proved that a system of merit can elevate a society to levels of prosperity that have rarely been seen since. But it also serves as a warning. Good governance is incredibly fragile. It only survives as long as leaders are willing to put the system above their own desires. Was Marcus Aurelius right to trust his own son, or did his love destroy an empire? Let us know in the comments.